Guys, my name is Yakto and welcome to my video where I talk to you about the US tank tree that came out in the patch 1.45 and my opinion on the tanks as well as the history behind them. This will be a long video, so if you don't want to watch a long video, well, I suggest you do something else. But if you're interested in my opinions on the latest patch and the US tanks and what I think about them, please stay put as we start off the video talking about the patch 1.45 tanks. Before we start, I just want to say something. This channel is known as Yakto, but it has come to my attention that a lot of channels on YouTube have the same name. Actually, I knew that when I created the channel, but I didn't really pay much attention to my channel name when I created it. So I'm gonna change my channel name to my nick in game, which is Korpenflüger. So that's gonna be my new channel name. At least it is somewhat unique and stands out from the crowd. So hopefully that will get more people to come visit my channel and to see my stuff. But anyway, let's get over to the tanks. And just before Christmas, in the beginning of December, they released patch 1.45 in the game. And you got the chance to play American tanks for the first time. And I've been itching to do a video about the tanks, and I thought I would be able to play all of them from the get-go when they released patch 1.45. But it turned out that you had to buy a bundle to get the access to all the closed beta test US tanks. So that kind of bummed me out. And that's why I haven't really been playing War Thunder all that much. I didn't really want to pay money or hard cash for the chance to play all the tanks when all the tanks would be out eventually. In my opinion, I think it's just a cheap trick from Gaien. Sorry Gaien for saying this, but this is just a cash in. You had all the tanks ready at the get-go from when you released 1.45, and I still believe that although there will be a significant number of people testing out the tanks, I don't think not much is going to change in the way of damage models and how the tanks play in the game once US tanks goes open beta. With that said, I'm gonna sound a bit hypocritical now. I actually today went on and bought me a tank pack because I want to be able to play all the tanks in order to review them for you guys before you get the chance to play them. So it hurt me, but I paid the money. It wasn't all that much, 17 euros or something like that. And I didn't really want the Grant one, but hey, it's an iconic tank. The Brits used it a lot during the war in North Africa. So it doesn't really pay me buying this tank. It's quite cool. I like the M3 Lee in game. So yeah, there's that. So once you've bought your first tank, or actually you get it for free, it's this one, the M2A4, you start unlocking tanks in an order that you choose yourself. If you don't choose an order, you will start unlocking the next one, the M3 Stuart, and after that the M3A1 Stuart. And they're more or less the same tank. One can say that the M3 Stuart is actually just a continuation of the M2A4 cavalry light tank US forces used during the 30s and the early 40s. It actually saw some service in Northern Africa during the campaign against Germany, but they didn't fare all too well during that campaign. The US tank corps quickly realized that light tanks such as these guys here on the side couldn't really face German Panzer IIIs and Panzer IVs and survive to tell the tale. Some of them, of course, did that. they managed to knock out German tanks, but the service record of those tanks were horrible, and most of them were lost during combat in North Africa. After this initial horrible service performance by these light tanks, the M5, M3 and the M2, they quickly changed the role of the light tank to a scout tank only, and in cases a light cavalry tank, a recon vehicle, and also in some cases a support vehicle for the US troops, like this one, the Locust M22, which actually supported the airborne troops, and it was put on the field via a glider, a Horsa glider that took these tanks into the field in order to give the US troops some support. However, just like before, this M22 Locust had the same cannon like all the other tanks had. Or maybe not exactly the same cannon, but it was a cannon too weak to lend support against enemy tanks that the infantry faced. So yeah, light tanks on the US-3 are mostly recon vehicles and support vehicles to the main battle tanks that are these medium tanks, and then heavy vehicles in this tree down here. And this tree, the poor gun performance on the initial light tanks that US troops had for support was actually corrected in this tank, the M24 Chaffee, that actually had a 75mm M6 cannon. The same kind of cannon that is actually on this plane here. Let's see if we can find it. I'm gonna go over to aviation. This one has the same kind of gun that the M24 Chaffee has, or they actually share the same gun. Anyway, it's the same gun, so that's kind of cool. And the M24 Chaffee and the M41 Walker Bulldog are actually quite good tanks. However, you need to mind that they don't have much in the way of armor and protection at all. For example, this M41 has mediocre 31mm of sloped frontal hull armor. That's nothing. And the Chaffee has even less, only 25mm of armor and 38mm of turret armor. However, that area, armor protection, isn't where these tanks shine. These tanks shines when it comes to mobility and firepower. And with the kind of speed and mobility that these two tanks has, you will easily be able to outflank the enemy or move up on the side of an enemy and position yourself where your 75 and 76mm cannon will actually do work against enemy tanks, no matter if they are German or Russian medium tanks or Russian heavies or German heavy tanks. You will actually be able to knock them out with a well-aimed shot or two. The M41 actually have a unique round for this game. It's called a Sabot round, and what that does is that it's an armored dart, or a small millimeter steel dart that's designed to pierce huge amounts of armor on enemy tanks. So you can see here that it actually has 238mm of armor penetrations at 10 meters of range, and that will be very dangerous against any kind of Russian or German tanks if you come up to the side of them. Some German tanks, like let's say the Tiger 1, if you face them, I guess you do, will be shredded by this tank. I can't see that Tiger 1 has much to protect itself against any kind of round that this tank has. However, the M41 Walker Bulldog still has no armor, so you need to stay mobile and you need to mind where you're going. Like plan ahead and play smart. If you do that, you will have a very good time in these small tanks. So that's enough about the light tanks on the tree. Let's go over to the very long medium tank line. It has a lot of tanks.